The Omkara is sacred sound in many religions. Why Omkara is sacred sound? How to take the help of Omkara to realize the supreme truth? This is the topic of discussion today. I remember the story of Guru Nanak Ji. Guru Nanak, along with his disciple and friend Mardana, went to a river. When they were staying near a river, it was evening time. Guru Nanak Ji jumped into a river. He disappeared for 3 days. Mardana, who was with Guru Nanak Ji, he was horrified. The Guru Nanak is not able to see Guru Nanak. He went and told villagers, and villagers came and came there. They stayed on the bank for 3 days, thinking that something has happened to Guru Nanak. On third day, Guru Nanak came up from the river. His face was shining. There was light in his eyes. There was peace in his heart. There was a radiation from his body. The first word he spoke, Satnam Ik Omkar. Omkar is the name of that truth, Sat, one supreme truth. And he taught Japji, which became a sacred grantha, sacred book for Sikhs. The Omkar is the sacred name. The Omkar is the most purifying. Omkara purifies us. Omkara is called Pavitra, Pavitram Omkara. Many other religions also have a variation of Omkara. Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, they consider Omkara as sacred. In Christianity, a variation of Omkara, Amen. In Islam, it's called Amin. So the Omkara seems to be a universal sound, a sacred sound in many religions. Mandukya Upanishad gives a detailed explanation of Omkara. So let us take up the teaching of Mandukya Upanishad. The first mantra of Mandukya Upanishad is Harihi Om. Om iti etat aksharam idam sarvam tasyopa vyakhyanam. Omkara is all this. What is all this? Om iti etadaksharam idam sarvam tasyop vyakhyanam. All this is Omkara. say all this is Omkara, the totality of creation is Omkara. The Omkara is a sound which links the individual with the universal, individual me with the universal Ishvara or God, and me and God with this absolute, which is reality. So Omkara is a sacred sound, a sacred linkage which shows the oneness of the individual Jiva with Brahman, the supreme reality. That's why the Upanishad Kara, he tells Omkara is all this. What is all this? All this means totality of creation, totality of everything what is there in the universe. What is there? The creation has the living and non-living. The totality of creation is vast expanse of the solar system, the planets, the galaxies, the five elements, Panchabhutas, the space, wind, fire, water, and earth, the mountain and valleys, the forests, living beings, and non-living beings. The totality of this is what is meant by Sarvam, all this. Sarvam is also further defined as Bhutam Bhavat Bhavishyati Sarvam Omkarameva. What is there in the past, what is there in the present, and what is there in the future, that also is Omkara. And what is beyond time, Yachanyat Trikalaatitam Tadapi Omkarameva. What is beyond time is also Omkara. So what is in time and space is Omkara. What is beyond time and space is Omkara. In other words, the Omkara represents the totality. Omkara is a sound. We chant Om, Om. There are two aspects of Omkara: the sound and silence. The sound aspect of Omkara is used for representing objects. The silence aspect of Omkara forms the background. What is the relationship between the sound and silence? Without silence, there is no sound possible. The silence forms the background. Silence is the absence of sound. Absence of sound is the background, like a screen. Without the screen, you cannot project a movie. The movie is projected on a screen. The silence is the background on which the sound is projected. It is said that in music, a musician plays with the sound, various instruments, musical instruments, various ragas, various sounds. Actually, he is using the sound to modulate silence. The silence is what you hear. The music is nothing but the modulation of silence. Silence is always there in the background. Imagine a music where there is no silence. There's no music. The silence gives the background and flavor to the music. But we don't recognize silence. We recognize the music because our attention is on the sound. The silence is the platform, music is the projection. The silence is the platform, the words are the projections. The silence is the screen, the words are the images. So the Omkara has two aspects, the sound, Om, and the silence which follows. The Om, the sound, and the silence together forms the Omkara. So thus the Omkara represents the complete mechanism of sound production. The sound and silence together is Omkara. The speciality of Omkara is a sound which involves three alphabets, three aksharams, Akara, Ukara, Makara. U, Ma. They pronounced as U, Omkara is three basic fundamental sounds, Akara, Ukara, Makara. What is the speciality of this Akara, Ukara, Makara? When you pronounce Akara, Ukara, Makara, you don't use the tongue. The tongue is not used. The wind moves through the vocal cord and produces this sound Akara, Ukara, Makara without the usage of tongue. Any other sound, any other aksharam, if you want to pronounce, the tongue moves. For example, you say Ka. Ka, the tongue moves. La, the tongue moves. Ra, the tongue moves. But if you pronounce Omkara, Akara, Ukara, Makara or Omkara, there's no movement of tongue. There's only the wind moves through the windpipe and creates the sound. So in other words, Akara, Ukara, Makara are the basic sound producing mechanism in human throat. Any other sound is produced by Akara, Ukara, Makara. The tongue is used to mix the sound. So Akara, Ukara, Makara becomes the fundamental sound. Any other sound is a derivative sound from the Akara, Ukara, Makara. Is the basic sound pattern. Akara, Ukara, Makara and silence is the basic from which every other sound is produced. So the Omkara is the foundation for all the alphabets of Sanskrit, 52 alphabets of Sanskrit, A, I, to Sha, Sa, La. Akara, Ukara, Makara is not only basic sound for Sanskrit alphabets. It's also basic for all languages, English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, German, French, any other language. The entire sound production is based on Akara, Ukara, Makara and silence. Two alphabets together form, two aksharams or alphabets together form a word, and word forms a sentence. For example, if I say Rama, it includes two words, Ra and Ma. The basic sounds are Akara, Ukara, Makara are mixed in certain way to produce the sound called Rama. Aksharams join together to form words. Words join together to form sentences. Sentences communicate the meaning. Is used for communication. So the Omkara is the foundation of entire communication in the world. Omkara is foundation for all the words. So that means language of any human being is based on Omkara. Not only language of human beings, the language of animals, the sounds which are produced by animals, the sounds which are produced by birds, all of them have the Omkara as basis. The Akara, Ukara, Makara is the fundamental sound which creates the variations. You can imagine in the modern day television set, there are millions of colors. These millions of colors are not transmitted from the station. They transmit only three colors called primary colors. They're called red, green, blue, RGB. These red, green, blue, three colors are mixed in various proportions to produce the millions of colors. Similar way, Akara, Ukara, Makara is mixed in millions of ways to produce all the sounds and all the names in the universe using human tongue and human vocal cord, or animals, or birds, all living beings. The Omkara is the fundamental of communication. Every object in the world has a name. A name and form go together. A name and form go together. All names are nothing but modifications of Omkara. All names are modifications of Omkara. So that's what it says, the Upanishad. Om iti ekaksharam sarvam. All this is there in the universe is Omkara. All the names of all the objects is nothing but Omkara. Now, a name has a meaning associated with that. If I say apple, a name has a form associated. The form is the meaning. The name and form go together. Now, what is a name? See, this is a paper. You are seeing paper, right? Now, what happened to the paper? What is this now? This has become a rocket. What happened to the paper? Paper is still there. Is rocket there or paper there? The paper is the background and rocket is the form, the name and form. Nothing has happened to the paper. So when the rocket is destroyed, again the paper appears. Similarly, there is one reality in the universe, the totality of the universe, one reality. That one reality appears as very name and form. There is only one reality which appears as name and form. That one reality is called Brahman. The reality, the truth, absolute reality. Brahman is nothing but awareness. That awareness appears as variety of name and form. When the name and form is there, we actually forget the reality and we are attracted by the name and form. We focus our attention on the name and form. We don't focus on the reality. For example, what you are seeing here is a glass. The glass is the name and a form. It has a function. I can drink water. But is this glass? It is made up of mud. Mud is appearing as glass. Now what is there here? The glass is merely a name. What is reality is mud only. The reality of glass is mud. So I can say it's glass based on the name and form, based on the form, or I can say it's mud. All pots, all vessels, all glasses are nothing but mud only, appear in various forms. Similarly, entire universe is nothing but one reality called Brahman appearing as name and form. And all names are modifications of Omkara. So the entire creation is nothing but Omkara. All names and forms are made up of aksharams, which are made by Omkara. So the Omkara is appearing as all the names and forms in the world. What is name and form? It is only nothing but reality appearing as name and form. For example, water appears as wave, a foam, a big wave, small wave, or bubble. So based on the shape, we can call it as a bubble. Based on shape, we can call it as a foam. Based on the color, based on the form, we can call it big wave or small wave. But in reality, all of that is water. Likewise, the entire universe of name and form is nothing but Omkara. Omkara is nothing but modification of silence. So the entire universe is nothing but silence manifest in the form of name and form. The silence or stillness. Is there a wave? Yes, there's a wave and form. But is there really wave? No, there's only water as appearing as wave. Is there a bubble? Yes. Is there really a bubble? No, it's only water. Is there a foam? There is no foam, it's only water. The bubble, wave, and foam are temporary appearance of water only. There is only water. Omkara has sound aspect and silence aspect. The silence only is appearing as sound in various forms. The silence only is the music. The silence only is the name and form of every object in the universe. Thus, Om is all that is there in the universe. The all that is there in the universe includes the past, present, and future. Because you may think that all that is there only now. No, all that is there, which is in the past, or present, or future, is nothing but name and form. And name and form is nothing but Omkara. Omkara is pointing to silence, and that silence is manifesting as name. In reality, only in essence, only one reality is appearing as name and form. And that one reality is called Brahman. Like a rope appears as a snake, what is there is only rope. Brahman is only appearing as all the worlds, objects of the world. And all the objects of the world are names. But names are only namesake, naam ke vaste. In reality, only Brahman is there. The supreme reality is there. And that supreme reality is what we see as the world of name and form. Past, present and future. What is an object in the universe? I see sun, I see moon, I see earth, I see a tree. The tree is a name. The tree has a form. Name and form is nothing but a thought in my mind. If there's no thought, there's no name object there. I don't know whether this object is there. The object is nothing but a thought in my mind. Thought is nothing but a name and form. Name and form is called knowledge. And the knowledge is known by me, the consciousness. The consciousness is the one who is the knowing principle, which is aware of the name and form in the form of knowledge. That consciousness or the knowing principle in me is the awareness or Brahman, which is the background of this entire name and form. The world is nothing but thoughts in my mind, and all thoughts are dependent on I thought. And I thought is pointing to the consciousness, which is self, which is Atma. For example, I see an object. Any object, there is a two things to object. This object is appearing as an object thought. It's called Vishayakar Vritti. And I am seeing it appears as an I thought. Aham Vritti and Idam Vritti. An object thought to appear, two thoughts appear in my consciousness. If those two thoughts don't appear in my consciousness, there's no world. I can't see the world. I can't see anything neither. Anything in the world is nothing but two thoughts. Aham Vritti and Idam Vritti. Object thought and subject thought. If I trace the subject thought, what is subject? I am the knowing principle, which is nothing but at witness, the Sakshi. And object is nothing but a name and a form of what? A tree is there, a fruit is there, a flower is there. That isness is common to all of them. The tree is, the flower is, the fruit is. The isness represents the existence. Isness is nothing but the existence. So the existence appears as a tree. The existence appears as a fruit. The existence appears as a moon. The existence appears as a world. So the existence is the background in which the objects appear. The existence appears as an object. The objects keep on changing the name form. The tree is a plant, it grows up and it dies. But existence doesn't die. Existence is eternal. Existence appears in various forms. Like water appears as various waves. Waves appear and die, but nothing happens to water. The existence appears and takes various shapes and forms. And that's what appears. So when I say a tree, what actually I'm saying is the existence is appearing as tree. I'm referring to existence. When I say necklace, I'm referring to the gold necklace. So the existence is what I'm seeing in the various forms in front of me. The existence is the background of everything. I cannot see existence. I can see existence only when it takes a form. And for that form, I give a name. So the existence is given a name. A form of existence is given a name. The name comes from the mind. And mind is nothing but a thought, which is nothing but appears in consciousness. And when I trace I thought, I am getting consciousness. When I trace, aham vritti, when I trace, it is I am awareness, consciousness. And when I trace idam vritti, I end up in existence. Idam means object. The object is existence. Aham vritti is me, the consciousness. And also I am aware that I exist and I am conscious. Existence is called Sat, and consciousness is called Chit. So what is happening? The Sat and Chit alone is appearing as living and non-living. And that existence is infinite. Existence is totality. It is infinite. That's why it's called Brahat or Brahman. Brahat means infinite, expanding. So the existence and consciousness is called Sat and Chit. And because it's infinite, it's called Ananta. Ananta means infinite, Ananda. Sat, Chit, Ananda is what is the manifest reality. Manifest reality keeps on changing form, but Sat, Chit, Ananda doesn't change the form. Sat, Chit, Ananda is eternal. So the Omkara is recognizing various forms of Sat, Chit, Ananda appearing and disappearing in existence. Omkara is the name and existence has a form. Existence form appears. So it's wrong. It is actually the right way of saying is I cannot, the tree is, the plant is, the flower is, the right way of saying is isness appears as a tree, isness appears as a flower, isness appears as a sun, isness appears as a moon. The isness is the common, that's the existence. When I say I am referring to, I refers to consciousness and am refers to existence. I am consciousness existence. So existence and consciousness is appearing as a living being, and existence is appearing as non-living being, matter, which is mountain, valley. So the matter is nothing but an appearance in consciousness. So the Omkara is representation of the existence, consciousness, and bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So what you don't do, what we don't do, the appearance we can see, the form we can see, the name we can see, form we can, the form of a flower we can see, the form of a tree we can see, existence appearing as a form we can see. We cannot see the existence itself. The existence or consciousness is beyond our sense organs and the mind. That's why that is called transcendent or Turiya, beyond the sense organs. The silent aspect of Omkara represents what is beyond the sense organs. The sound aspect of Omkara represents what is in the sense organs. So sound, Akara, Ukara, Makara together form all the names. All the names are available to sense organs and the mind. That is manifest world. And the silence represents what is beyond the mind, the Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence consciousness, which is transcendent, Turiya. So Sat, Chit, Ananda is like a rope. And the world of name and form is like a snake. The snake appears, the rope appears as a snake. Sat, Chit, Ananda, existence, consciousness, bliss is appearing as the world. Thus, the Omkara represents Sat, Chit, Ananda, which is beyond the sense organs called Turiya. And what is available to sense organs called world. Thus, Omkara is total representation of reality, what is beyond sense organs and what is manifest. That's why Trikalaatitam Omkaram eva. Omkara is beyond three kalas, past, present, and future. So what is past? Past is also a thought. What is future? Future is also a thought. What is present? Present is a perception. So the perception and thought both are appearing in consciousness, and perception represents the existence. So together, Omkara represents the perceptions, thoughts, feelings, emotion, and world of objects and what is beyond objects. It is Turiya. So together this is called Sat Chit Ananda. This Sat Chit Ananda is called Brahman, supreme reality. Okay. So that's why the next sloka of Mandukya Upanishad will point out. Sarvai etat Brahma, Ayamatma Brahma, Soyamatma Chatushpa. This is the next sloka. Sarvai etat Ayamatma Brahma. Sarvai etat. All this is Brahma. Sarvai etat means what?
Thank you.
Sarvai etat Brahma. All this is Brahman. Now, first shloka was Omkara Vichara. Mandukya Upanishad took up the Vichara, inquiry into Omkara as the sound production mechanism, as the name and form, and what is beyond name and form. Now, the second shloka of Mandukya Upanishad takes up Brahma Vichara. Brahman. Brahman is what we call as God. The totality of existence is called Brahman. The individual is called Atman. So next shloka takes up Brahman and Atman. Brahman, inquiry into Brahman is called Brahma Vichara, and inquiry into individual is called Atma Vichara. So first it is told that Omkara is everything. Now it is told that Brahman is everything. The Brahman, what we call as Brahman or God, has two aspects. Para Brahma or supreme reality or Nirguna Brahma, and which is unmanifest, unborn, which is eternal, and manifest aspect is called Saguna Brahma and Nirguna Brahma, form and formless. Nirguna Brahma or Para Brahma is formless reality. Saguna Brahma or Brahma appears in the form of manifestation, the totality of manifestation. All living, non-living, stars, planets, galaxies, atoms, molecules, everything included in the totality of existence is called Saguna Brahma. What is the background of the Saguna Brahma or formless aspect of Saguna Brahma is called Nirguna Brahma or Parabrahma. So the Omkara, first we tell Omkara Vichara. Now we are saying Brahma Vichara. Brahman has Nirguna aspect and Saguna aspect. In Saguna aspect, he is called Ishvara or the Lord of creation. The Ishvara has three aspects. In the manifest aspect of all that what we see as the world, universe, he is called Virat. The Vishwa or the universe is called Virat. Then the subtle aspect of the universe is called Hiranyagarbha. The Virat is the gross aspect, gross body. Subtle body is called Hiranyagarbha. And there is a causal body is called Antaryami. The gross, subtle, causal, three aspects of creation is called Ishvara. Ishvara has Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Antaryami form, the gross, subtle and causal. Can somebody mute it, please? A lot of noise is coming. There are three aspects of creation: the gross, subtle and causal. These are three aspects of Ishvara. And the transcendental aspect of Ishvara or Turiya or beyond Ishvara is called Parabrahma, Nirguna aspect. Nirguna and Saguna, together there are four aspects of Ishvara. Parabrahma or Nirguna Brahma, Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and can somebody mute please? There is a lot of noise. Maybe Ushaji, can you please mute? Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Antaryami together is called Ishvara, which is Saguna Brahma, and Parabrahma, which is Nirguna Brahma. Together, this is called Brahman. There are four aspects, Chatushpad. Okay. So now, another aspect is brought, which is called individual. I am Atma Chatushpad. I am me. Atma means me, the self. The self has four aspects: the waking state consciousness, the dream state consciousness, deep sleep state consciousness, and Turiya or the Sakshi or the witness, which is beyond the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. The universe has four states, and individual has universe has four aspects, and individual has four aspects: waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and Turiya or the witness, which is beyond waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. So now the universe and individual is equated through Omkara. Omkara is like an equation. Jiva is equal to Brahman. It is trying to bring the non-duality between the individual and the universal. The Omkara is like an equation which connects the individual and the universal. So the Omkara has four aspects: Akara, Ukara, Makara, and silence. Akara represents Virat or the gross form of God, Brahman. Ukara represents Hiranyagarbha or subtle form of Brahman. Makara represents Antaryami or causal form of Brahman. And the silence represents the Parabrahma. The four aspects of Brahman are represented through Akara, Ukara, Makara. And four aspects of individual, me, Jiva. A waking state is represented by Akara. The dream state is represented by Ukara. The deep sleep state consciousness is represented by Makara. And the transcendental or witness consciousness is represented by Turiya, the silence. So the Omkara represents the Brahman in four aspects. Omkara represents Jiva in four aspects. Then Omkara connects these two and says Jiva is Brahman. You are Brahman. Tattvamasi. You are Brahman. How am I Brahman? Brahman is the totality. I am individual. I am small. I am small. I am a small being. Brahman is the whole. How can be a small individual be the whole? How I can be Brahman? So this equation Jiva equal to Brahman is brought in by using Omkara by sages. Omkara provides the formula for connecting Jiva and Brahman. That's why meditation on Omkara is very purifying, because you find the connection and oneness with Brahman. Om iti ekaksharam Brahma vyavaharam tejan deham kalevaram sa yati paramam gati. This is what Bhagavad Gita says. Just chant Omkara with understanding and you will attain the supreme mukti. This is what is the teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because Omkara is the equation which connects the Jiva and Brahman. Me and God. Brahman is the God. So what is the connection? Where is the connection between the Jiva and Brahman? Jiva is called Vyashti or individual. Ishvara is called Samashti, the totality. Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti is equal to one tree. Samashti is equal to forest. I am like a tree and Ishvara or God is like a forest. How can tree and forest be equal? The equation between the tree and forest or Jiva and Brahman is provided to Omkara. That's why Sri Guru Nanak said Satanam ik Omkara. One true name is Omkara. One reality which is Omkara. That's why it said Omkara is Pavitra, because it purifies me. It connects me with the totality, reality called God. And it helps me to recognize the divinity of me, Atma. How I am one with God. There is totality of space. The space is all pervading. There's no place where there's no space. There is an outer space and there's an inner space. The outer space is vast. There is a space in my house. Like that, the consciousness is all pervading. And the consciousness all pervading is called Brahman, pure awareness. The consciousness pervading in all the living beings and non-living beings is called Ishvara, totality. The consciousness in me is called Atma. The Atma is also pure consciousness only, Brahman only, but it is within this body. The space, all pervading space, appears like a space in the house and outside, but nothing happens to the space. The space, inner space and outer space is same. The Atma within the body and Brahman, which is all pervading reality, are one and the same. They are like space. The Atma identifies with the body as Jiva. It's like saying the space within this house says, within this room says, I am room space. But room wall has nothing to do with the space. The space is not affected by room wall. The space gets a wrong understanding that I am the room space. The space has to understand I am not the room space. Room walls don't affect me. I am the total space. Similarly, the Atma, the Jiva, has to understand I am Atma. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am not the intellect. I am pure consciousness, Atma. Atma is one with the Brahman. Atma is Brahman. So the inner space within the house has to understand I am the total space. The walls are just the boundaries which don't affect me. Similarly, I as the Atma have to understand I am the awareness within this body, but it's the same awareness is there in the totality of existence, Brahman. The same awareness is there in Ishvara. So I am one with the Ishvara, I am one with the Brahman. So where is my identification? This is provided by Omkara, because Omkara says Atma has four padas, Chatushpad. Brahman has four padas. Brahman has four padas called Virat, Hiranyagarbha, and Antaryami and Parabrahma. The individual has a four aspects called waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, and Turiya. So the Omkara is connecting these two. The understanding of Omkara, meditation on Omkara, contemplation on Omkara helps us to recognize our true nature as Brahman. Jivatma is recognized as Brahman. individual becomes universal. The entire spiritual journey can be summarized as from personality to individuality to universality to supreme reality. When I say I am body, it's as good as space inside room saying I am room space. So I have to recognize that I am part of that body. I am body is a matter, appearance. Whereas I am, what I call as I points to consciousness, am points to existence. That I am refers to the Ishvara. The I am body is called individual ego. I am the totality is called universal ego or Ishvara. So from I am body, I have to merge into I am the all this. So from I am all this, I have to stay as unconditional I am, pure awareness. That's called Brahman. From Jiva, ego of Jiva has to surrender to Ishvara. From Ishvara ego, I have to find unconditioned awareness, para Brahman. So from that, in that perspective, I have to recognize I am Brahman. This is the essence of Tattvamasi, that thou art. So the foundation for this is provided by analysis of Omkara. Omkara provides a path for Jivan Mukti and enlightenment. Omkara is the bridge between Jiva and Brahman, between me and God, between myself and God. Om to oh my God, to recognize that I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm not the intellect, I'm awareness, which is God, Brahman. This is the spiritual journey, and Omkara provides a path for that spiritual journey. From Om to oh my God. So then you realize that all that is there is God only. This is what Guru Nanak Ji found. In 3 days, he went into the river. It's only symbolic. He went into samadhi or meditation. When he lost the ego, I am the body, ego is lost. Then he becomes the Jivatma, becomes one with the Paramatma. Individual becomes one with the universal. That recognition he called it as Satanam Ik Omkar. True name is Omkar. The river going into the river is just symbolic. It is the death of the ego, which is symbolized by staying in the river for 3 days. Nobody can stay in the river for 3 days. When the ego dies, I am the body, I am the mind, I am the intellect, ego dies. Then what is there is pure awareness. And the name of that pure awareness is called Omkar. Satanam Ik Omkar. Thus the Om is the bridge between me and the God. From Om to oh my God, only God is there. This is a summary of the first shloka and second shloka of Mandukya Upanishad. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes.
We have some time for questions. So I would suggest if anyone has questions, please type on the chat window and we can take it on with Prabhuji. If there are any questions, please type in the chat window. On the top right, there are people and chat. You go and click on chat and you can type your questions there. Are there any questions from any of the participants? Okay, then.
Yeah, Savita is asking, please clarify more on what?
Savita, can you complete your question, please? Okay. Or you can unmute your microphone and speak, if that is easier. Okay, Chit Anand.
So the question which is asked by Savita Amburmat is what clarify on Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means what doesn't change over a period of time. Sat is there, it is not dependent on time. Sat is the reality. Existence is the reality. Existence can take a form and form can dissolve. Existence can manifest and unmanifest. But existence itself doesn't change. That unchanging existence is called Sat. Chit is consciousness, the knowing principle. For example, this is pen. I am aware of the pen, but pen is not aware of me. So I am the knowing principle, awareness. Chit is the awareness. Ananda means unlimited or ananta. There is no limitation. What is unlimited is blissful. Sat, existence, is not limited by time. It's eternal. It is infinite. Existence is infinite. The stars exist, the planets exist, Earth exists, I exist. The existence has taken various forms. That existence which has taken various forms is formless, is eternal, infinite. And existence is akhanda. There's no breakage in existence. There's nothing called non-existence and existence. There's a manifestation and unmanifestation. Existence can manifest and unmanifest. Water is always there. It can appear as a wave and it disappears as a wave. Manifest and unmanifest. But water is the background. Like that, existence is the background. It appears as objects. It appears as people and disappears. Okay. But existence is not affected. Existence appears as object. Existence appears as living being and disappears. Manifestation and unmanifestation there, but existence itself is always there. We cannot speak of non-existence. Chit means awareness. I told you awareness is knowing principle. A pen is there, it's jada, it's insentient, but I am aware, consciousness principle. Ananda means infinite because existence is infinite. It is not bound by time and space. That's why Ananta. What is infinite is blissful because there's no other, non-dual. Now, Sat Chit Ananda is not some vague terminology. If you ask yourself, do you exist? You say, I exist. When you say, I exist, that is called Sat. Are you aware? I am aware. That is called Chit. You are Sat and Chit. Okay. That is the fundamental nature of existence. That's why a human being has the ability to recognize the reality because I am Sat and Chit. And the Sat and Chit is the background of the entire creation. Only thing which I don't recognize is I am Ananda. I am blissful. Because I feel limited by the body, the Vedanta is there to teach you. You are not limited by body. You are Brahman or infinite awareness through the teaching of Omkara and Mandukya Upanishad, which we'll listen in the coming days. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Ramachandra is asking a question. What is equivalent of soul in Vedanta? Sir, this word soul in English, we should not use. Okay. The soul, Ramachandra is asking a question. What is the equivalent of word called soul? So there are many words in English which have no spiritual meaning. Okay. They are all colloquial from Vedantic terms. Please try to learn Vedantic terms. There are a lot of terms in Vedanta and teaching of Sanatana Dharma which have no equivalent words in English. The soul is a very, very colloquial term. You try to understand Atma, Jiva, Paramatma, Brahman and try to use the Vedantic terms. Don't try to find an equivalent of English term to Vedanta. So English soul is actually a terminology which is coming from the Western world where a soul is created by the God. In Vedanta, soul is not created. Atma is not created. Atma is Brahman appearing in the universe. So there is no equivalent. Let us not bring that equivalence of English words in Sanskrit. Any other question, please? Some question? Yeah. There's one more question. Two more questions. The question is Omkara giving the name to nameless? Omkara is not giving to the name to nameless. Omkara is the nameless. See, the Omkara has three aspects: Akara, Ukara, Makara. The question is Omkara giving the name to nameless? No, Omkara is not giving the name to nameless. Omkara is the nameless. The Akara, Ukara, Makara represents all the names in the creation. That means manifest reality or Ishvara, the domain of manifestation. Whereas the silence aspect of Omkara, where there's no words can be there, it represents Turiya. The silence aspect of Omkara is Brahman. It is not giving the nameless to the name Brahman. The silence is, the Brahman is represented through absence of words or silence. And how is Brahman known through silence? One who is aware of silence is Brahman. Awareness of silence also is Brahman. So that's why Omkara is not giving a name to Brahman. Omkara, silence aspect of Brahman, is representing is Brahman. Silence aspect of Omkara is Brahman. Sir, it's one question. Is the manifest reality is called Omkara and the unmanifest reality is called Brahman? No. See, the Omkara has two aspects. Akara, Ukara, Makara, which is sound production mechanism, which is name, which is manifest reality. Omkara has a silence aspect, Om, the silence, which represents unborn reality or Turiya or Brahman. So Brahman has two aspects. Formless aspect or Nirguna aspect is called, represented by silence of Omkara, and manifest aspect, which is represented by Akara, Ukara, Makara or sound aspect of Omkara. So the Omkara represents both Nirguna and Saguna aspect. Brahman has Saguna aspect and Nirguna aspect. So the manifest reality has two aspects, manifest and unmanifest. It appears and disappears. But Brahman doesn't appear. The background or Turiya or Nirguna Brahman doesn't appear and disappear. It's always there. The silence aspect of Omkara represents that Nirguna Brahma. The sound aspect of Omkara represents the Saguna Brahma with name and forms. Does that clarify? Any more questions, please?
Thank you, Prabhuji, for your patient clarification.
Okay, so anybody is interested in further talks, you can refer to YouTube channel. You can type Light of the Self. There are a lot of videos in YouTube channel, various aspects of teachings. You can access them. Namaste.